You can find us everywhere. Hard stop, there's not much defense. You can try it though at your own expense. It's all you need. We make good ground cover. Just leave us be and you might soon discover you're not keeping an eye and watching us grow. Before you know it, yeah, we're spread high and low. Weeds. We're wild, wild weeds.
Very few plants have traveled into outer space. One that has is amaranth. In 1985, amaranth cookies were one of the foods eaten by the crew of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. If this plant was good enough for them, why shouldn't we try it as well? Yet here in the United States, it's labeled as an invasive weed. One reason might be because agribusinesses are frustrated with its adaptability. Turns out it's Roundup resistant and can grow 3 inches a day. A single plant is capable of releasing over 200,000 tiny seeds. No wonder they're so upset. Many centuries ago, amaranth was a staple food for the Aztecs and a crucial part of their religious ceremonies. When Cortez conquered Mexico in the early 1500s, he outlawed its cultivation and burned its fields, which made it easier to starve, then convert the so-called heathen population to Christianity. Luckily for us, amaranth wasn't completely eradicated, as a few hardy plants survived. Now, nutritionists describe the same pesky plant as a superfood because it contains so many vitamins and minerals. Its edible leaves have more calcium, phosphorus, and vitamin C than spinach. In addition, the edible seeds are 13 to 15% protein. Gardeners consider the green variety to be a weed because it's not very attractive and spreads so quickly. These same people might be surprised to find they've cultivated some of its showy cousins, like coxcomb, a striking plant with a crested top, and love lies bleeding, a plant with hanging tassels that resemble dreadlocks. My hometown's Abundance Farm has several varieties to share with community members during their free-to-all pick-your-own days. Walk into any disturbed area in early June, and most likely you'll see the more modest, coarse-looking green amaranths. These annuals act like perennials because they seed themselves so well. They often pop up in gardens and thrive in both wet and dry conditions. Leaves are oval, grow alternately on the stem, and have prominent leaf veins. Their roots are pinkish red. Amaranth has a long season and supplies several nutrient-rich foods. Fortunately, there aren't any poisonous members of this genus. Many amaranth varieties are related to respective edibles, such as beets and quinoa. First to appear in mid-spring are the young shoots, which can be eaten raw or cooked. Let's face it, they look like any other green, and they're hard to identify at this point. From late spring through fall, the stem becomes inedible, but the leaves are still usable as a vegetable. Gather their top leaves for the best taste. Avoid lower ones, as they're too tough. To prepare them, simmer for a short time until tender. They shrink down, turn dark green, and taste similar to spinach. Avoid eating these plants if found in areas where chemical fertilizers are used, since the soil may contain nitrates, compounds which can compromise a person's health. There are over 60 varieties of amaranths. You may encounter some with dark green leaves on top with maroon undersides. They're more attractive than their common cousins. These make an appealing bouquet. When the reddish greens are cooked, the water turns bright red, proof of their connection to beets. I bet this water could be used as a fabric dye. Unfortunately, the greens don't retain much of their reddish color when cooked, so if you want to keep their crimson hue, use them raw in salads. The tiny inconspicuous flowers bloom in summer and aren't desirable edibles, as they're surrounded by prickly coverings. The edible seeds mature from late August through October. They come in various colors, including pink. Press the seed head, as if shaking hands, to release the seeds. You can also store seed heads in a paper bag for a few weeks until they dry out. To separate the lighter chaff from the seeds, put both in a fine mesh strainer, which will allow the small seeds to pass through and most of the chaff to remain. Blow gently on any chaff to eliminate it, but close your eyes to avoid stray particles. Don't be concerned if some chaff remains, since it's only dried plant matter. Use seeds from the wild and from natural food stores. The shiny wild ones on the left are black and smaller than those of their cultivated counterparts on the right, which are beige and somewhat larger. I often combine the two types. Both can be ground into a gluten-free flour, used in soups or sprinkled on salads. You can buy amaranth flour in natural food stores if you don't want to be bothered grinding your own. For extra flavor, dry roast the seeds. Here I've mixed wild and cultivated ones. Put them in a pan over low heat and move constantly so they won't burn. To cook them, mix 1 cup seeds to 3 cups water or soup stock and simmer for 25 minutes or until the water is absorbed. Although they have a nutty flavor, they're somewhat mucilaginous, so I usually blend them with other grains. Dried seeds last for months if stored in the fridge. I put them in a salt shaker and usually add them to cooked cereal or soups. Some scientists recommend seeds be soaked in slightly acidic water for 12 hours before consuming. This process reduces phytic acid, which may interfere with the absorption of minerals. I don't normally do this, as my diet is well balanced, I hope. By the way, amaranth isn't a cereal grain because true grains all stem from the grass family, and amaranth is in another family. For this reason, amaranth is often referred to as a pseudo grain because its nutritional composition is similar to actual grains and has been part of traditional diets for thousands of years. If you come across amaranth, ignore its modest appearance and let this crop from the past become part of your future.
Wild, wild weeds. See you around, man. Weeds rule, man. Yeah. Hey, look there. You got some growing pains out there, man. We're doing on to a little weed wave here.